Hey, everybody, welcome into the 815 Sports Podcast. We're very happy to be here with you tonight. This week's episode, we're going to talk our week six NFL picks. Very special guest tonight. We got Jason Telford, two-time head coach for Little League Baseball state champs, Streeter, Illinois. We're very happy to have Jason on here tonight. Jason, you got anything to say before we get going?
Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on. I tell you what, this is an awesome thing you guys are doing. You got passion for all sports, and so it's great. I got to finally get into the palatial estates of Jake Harkar here, and I'll tell you what, most people in Streeter have already been here, but this is my first time, and it's awesome. So let's get started, boys.
All right.
Wait, I do want to say, though, listen, you guys are experts. You guys are experts at this. So I'm a celebrity guest here. I love football. I know some about football, but let's keep this, let's not go too far into the weeds on these games. Let's just pick them and go.
Yeah, well, that's what we normally do. And honestly, me and Jake are far from experts. If you take a look at my history and picking the games with parlays, it's pretty awful. So I would not say I'm an expert at all.
I think at the end of the podcast today, you guys should reveal your records. I want to know. I think
last week
people would like to know.
Oh, they would. They would.
It'd be bad for the start of this year.
That's all right. They're tough to pick.
Christian Miller says, "What's up, fellas? Go Tampa. Telford's a legend. This is Streeter.
Let's go, C. Mills."
All right. Thursday night football, San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle's lost 2 in a row. This is a game for the first seed in the NFC West there. Jake, you want to start it off?
Yeah, this is a big game, and it's a big game for both teams. San Francisco at Seattle. We all know how tough it is to play in Seattle, even though if you look back to last week, the Giants won in Seattle. So weird things can happen in this NFL season. This is a really tough game. Do you guys think so?
No, I think so.
Yeah, this is the one I've dwelled on all week.
The best Thursday night matchup we've had so far this year.
Because
I've gone back and forth on this one all week.
Jason said before, you kind of feel like both teams are reeling.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
But they're very good. Both of these teams are very good, and they're kind of fundamentally good too. They don't really make mistakes normally. But a part of me wanted to take Seattle because of the 12th man, but I'm going to take the experience in the San Francisco 49ers. So that's who I'm taking.
Yeah. I think San Francisco's – I think personally San Francisco's got the better team.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're missing the biggest piece in the NFL, McCaffrey. That hurts. And where have they struggled in the red zone? I mean, because of him.
Right.
I don't know what the number was, like 60% of their red zone plays last year. Was him.
He had over 20 touchdowns last year. He's a stud.
So, I mean, that's really tough for them. But they still are a very talented roster. And Brock Purdy's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league,
He just does everything right. He doesn't do everything great, but he doesn't make mistakes really either.
Right. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But they've had some turnovers here recently.
Yeah.
So I say they clean that up. They clean up the turnovers. And I also have San Francisco going into Seattle and getting that win.
It's going to look like a Christmas game because they always show the crowd. Seattle green, San Francisco red. A lot of fans travel there, so it'll look pretty cool. But, yeah.
It's going to be a big game. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
I agree. I agree with you, too. I've got San Francisco in this game. Like you said, I really wanted to pick Seattle coming off 2 losses in a row. They're both extremely talented on the offensive side of the ball. Seattle 7th in total offense, 3rd in passing. San Fran just behind them, 4th in passing, 8th in rushing, 2nd in total offense. So it should be a high-scoring game.
Would both teams be 3-3, even if San Francisco wins?
Yeah, they're both 3-3. But San Francisco would take it over them because they beat them.
Right. Okay.
But I'm going to go with San Francisco in this one. I think it'll be the best, maybe the second best, because last week's Thursday night game was amazing. So I think this is going to be the next best Thursday night football game we've had so far this year. And really quick, we'll head into the comments. It looks like Sean's got Seattle. Christian's got Seattle. Brett Davis says Jason Telford's in the chat. Seahawks. And Kenneth Walker is a dark. Yeah, Kenneth Walker's a stud, and hopefully he comes back and plays a lot better this week.
Ex-Cub to tie the game in the night. That would be incredible.
So in London, we got the Chicago Bears are the home team in this one against Jacksonville, who seems like that's basically their second home in London.
Yeah.
Jason, we'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, Jacksonville's. I feel like Jacksonville's better than their record. They're 1-4. They had a win last week. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a little bit up and down, but he had a really good week last week. That running back Bigsby is coming up big for them, kind of taking over the carries for Etienne also.
Yep.
So I feel like this is going to be everyone's high on the Bears right now. I am too. I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah.
They win 1 or 2 games and we're all excited.
That is Chicago in general.
That's Chicago in general. But let's face it, Caleb Williams is playing better. They beat bad teams, particularly Carolina. But the arrow is definitely trending upward for them. I have Chicago winning this game.
Close?
I think it will be close. The issue is Jacksonville's got a very bad pass defense. I think it's the worst in the league, actually. So I think Caleb Williams continues to grow with that situation, and the Bears' defense we know is very solid. So I'm taking Chicago. I don't know how close it's going to be. I think the Chicago is favored here, but it's on the road. There's some invariables. Chicago's been in Jacksonville all week, which is good. I think that's an advantage to them. Kind of got their feet on the ground, and Jacksonville, I think, is just getting there Thursday, something like that. So I have friend Dean Chalky and Scott Lucky are going out to the game.
Yep.
Are they really?
Yeah, yes.
They probably already left.
They left today, yeah. So they'll bring home a Bears victory, in my prediction.
These games over in London are – do you ever notice that they're just not normal? Like they just seem to like – you watch them and like they're low scoring or there's a turnover. Every time the Dolphins go to London, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
The Dolphins lose every time they go to London.
I thought we weren't going to talk about the Dolphins. They got to buy. They got to buy.
But this is like you said, Jacksonville goes there a lot more.
6-5 in London.
So they might be more accustomed to it than the Bears. Have the Bears played in London?
They're 1-1 in London.
I think the Bears played in London like way back when Walter Payton was on the team, didn't they? Or do you know that?
I think I read since 2013 they played there twice.
Okay, so that could be.
So they're 1-1, but like Jason said, I feel Jacksonville is better than a 1-4 record that they show.
Yeah,
I feel like there's talent.
I think the Dolphins got very lucky against them. Week 1.
Well, they did. I feel like they're better they're better than their 1-4 record. I mean, there's weapons. Trevor Lawrence is a pretty good quarterback, I think, and. Man, you watched them last week. What was the final score of their game? Didn't they put up a lot of
37-34. They beat the
Colts.
Indy, yeah.
So it was a shootout. So
how about Joe Flacco?
This will be interesting if it's a shootout.
We're in trouble.
Can Caleb and Williams and the Bears keep up with Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars?
Well, say what you want about Caleb Williams, but he's been in shootouts his whole career because Lincoln Riley's never had a competent defense.
Yeah,
so he's always been in shootouts.
So I'm sure
Not
he
in
might.
NFL.
Right,
Yeah.
it's a little different.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I just don't think the Bears let it get to that point. Their
Right.
defense. Now Brisker, it looks like he's going to be out. That will hurt them a little bit, but they have depth in their backfield, their defensive backfield. So I don't think the Bears will let it get to that point. But if it's a shootout, to me, the advantage will definitely go to
do
the
we know the
experience of
spread?
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah,
yeah, I got it right here.
2.5. I think
Yep.
Bears are
Bears,
favored.
So
by
it's
2.5.
pretty close. I'm taking Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm also taking Jacksonville. Like I said, this seems to be their second home. I don't know how, either team's going to travel. Like Jake said, the game's always pretty weird, but each quarterback basically had their best game in the NFL of this season last week.
Agreed.
So they're both coming in hot if you look at it from that standpoint. The Jaguars played the Colts, the Bears against Carolina, which was a team they should have beat, and they beat them handedly, like they should have. Like you said, their defense is phenomenal.
Right.
They have one of the best. They really do have one of the best defenses in the league.
If the Bears
Up to
would
this
beat
point.
Carolina 13-10 last week, I think
Yeah.
we're having a different conversation
Right,
right now.
sure.
I think we're all still a little worried.
And
Yeah.
when they scored the opening drive and made it 7-0, I was like,
Uh-oh.
oh no,
Here we go
Yeah.
again.
Here we
Yep.
go again.
But I'm going to take Jacksonville in this game, like Jake said. I just think
This is my least confident pick of the week.
I'd have to relook to say this is my least
But this is
confident
my
pick.
I
least
have
confident
several. I have
pick.
several ones that
Yeah.
I'm.
Because I mean, I've told you since the start of the season, I'm hot on the Bears.
Yeah.
But I just feel like
I do think the Bears finally got their quarterback of the future. It took them long enough, but they finally found one. But I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win this
other
game.
than Houston, is this the best team the Bears have played this year?
Yes, I would say so.
I would
Houston
say,
was
yeah.
definitely the best team.
Just because we know Jacksonville in the past has been a decent team.
Yeah, they haven't played a lot of great teams. The whole first part of their schedule is fairly weak.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing for a rookie quarterback to
Oh,
get his feet
absolutely.
on the
And
ground.
you always want to get off to a great start. I
Yeah.
mean, this schedule tees the Bears up to start off to have a good season.
Yeah, it couldn't
Which
have
means
been
they
set
can
up any
falter late and still maybe sneak in because they got enough wins in the first half.
Yeah.
I have a bet in my back pocket that I made with somebody. I won't say who it is.
Yeah.
That the Bears will sweep the Packers this year.
Yeah.
You think I've lost my money already?
I can't remember if I made that bet with you.
You didn't make it with me.
I think I was there the night that bet was made.
Yeah, it was. I think I'm getting my $100 bill already.
I don't think they're going to sweep the Packers.
Probably not.
We could go on about that for a while.
I might have had a few drinks that night.
Up next, we got Arizona at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers favored by 5 in this one. The Packers come in as a team that's statistically they're better in points scored, points allowed, point differential, and turnover margin. I mean, say what you want, the Packers defense has not looked great as far as – I mean, they've still given up points. But they've forced the most turnovers in the NFL this year. They've come – the lowest amount of turnovers they forced in the game this year was 2, and that was last week. And then the safety that we signed, Xavier McKinney from the Giants, he's looked absolutely phenomenal.
He had like an interception in the first 5 games, 6.
Yeah.
You go back to last year too? Or
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Last year 6, this year first 5, and I think he's the first player since 1970 to do that when signing with the new team. So he's been phenomenal. Tucker Kraft, if you guys know me, I just added him in fantasy football this past week before the game, and he was phenomenal this weekend.
Yep.
I think what will kind of be big for the Packers in this game is just to continue. I think they get a little bit too pass happy since Love came back. And I mean, he's still trying to come back from that. You could see that each week. But I think if they just let the game come to them, short passes, the play action game, get the run game going, I think they can beat Arizona because Arizona, they're a pretty good team. Like I like Kyler Murray and they got a lot of talent, but yeah, they're up and down. I could go on here for about another 20 minutes, but I'm going to take the Packers in this one.
Well, they have a stud running back.
Yeah,
Packers. I mean, they have a stud quarterback too, and a ton of receivers.
Yeah.
Is Dobbs going to be back this week?
Dobbs is going to be back this week. He was suspended last week because he supposedly was unhappy with his role, skipped practice. They suspended him. Now he's back. They talked it out. I mean, I don't really know the whole situation there, but I mean, Love gets hurt. It's not going to be a passing, situation for 2 weeks.
The Packers are a great organization, and that to me that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Guys making waves. Their goal is to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Every year.
And so a guy's trying to prevent them from doing that, or he's not on the same page, they suspend him, and that's good. Put him in his place. There's a ton of good receivers on that team: Reeds, Wicks, Watson, Kraft.
Yeah.
So he's just another player, and he can contribute, but he may not be the top contributor. Yeah. But
you don't need the headache.
To win the game is what matters.
Yeah.
To win the game.
And really quick, while you brought up Wicks, he's getting open at almost the highest level in the NFL, but he has the worst drop rate in the NFL.
He's dropping them.
I mean, he is dropping the ball left and right. But I got Green Bay in this one. Jake, you can go ahead.
Look, Arizona's coming off one of the biggest wins, probably biggest wins of their season, right? They just beat.
Travis Pauk says Bears by 14. Jeff Horner says go Pack, go. Agree with that. All right, go ahead, Jake. Sorry about that.
Arizona's coming off of one of their biggest wins, probably of the year, right, in San Francisco.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Which that is a brutal place to play. I mean, Green Bay is now easier. I think Green Bay is the hardest place to play in the NFL. I've said that since me and Cole started doing this. There's just something about Green Bay. But I like Arizona in this game. I like Kyler Murray. If this gets into a shootout, I just don't know. I mean, I guess we've seen Green Bay get into a shootout early on with Philly, and they did go neck and neck with them.
Kind of with the Vikings.
So that kind of shocked me that they were able to do that. Yeah, they came back versus the Vikings.
Yeah.
But just after seeing Arizona being able to do that versus a San Francisco team at home versus a good defense, a team that seems like every year they're one of the best teams in the league.
Mm-hmm. And Jair practiced today, so that'll be big if he's back.
Now, I know they blocked a field goal, which kind of won the game, but it happened and they won. They were in it all game. I don't think this is a game where – I don't think it's a blowout either side, but I like Arizona with the upset.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Arizona to me is they're a little bit up and down, but I think right now they're trending in the right direction.
Sure.
Kyler Murray looks really good. He's doing it again with his arm, with his legs.
Yeah.
He's tough. Marvin Harrison Jr. has had some big plays. I think he's healthy. He's a little gimpy. I don't know if he's going to play or not. But I can't go against Green Bay at home. And,
you said it best. The thing that scares me about this game is his legs. I mean, there was a play last week with the Niners. We're at the 40-yard line. He just points like he knows
knew he was going to score.
40-yard line.
Yeah, he's coming into.
So like the Packers have got to contain
they've never been able to contain
Kyler
the running
Murray, you've
quarterback,
gotta
so I don't
contain
really
him.
have faith there.
Because
There's
if
a
not-
chance Green Bay loses this game. I mean, this is one I kind of went back and forth on, but I just don't see it happening in Green Bay. I think they're better. I think Jordan Love is going to continue to get healthy and will be better. And they have a lot of weapons also. But you're right, though. They have to have a good game plan here. They can't just try to run.
I think they're the more fundamental team. I just think Arizona's the more poppy team, like the team, like because Murray can break a 60-yard run himself. Jordan Love, I don't think can do that.
No, of course not.
So I just feel like with Arizona, I don't know. There's just something. I mean, another upset pick for me.
And again, you got to limit the turnovers if you're Green Bay. Every team has to, but they've had some turnovers here recently.
Yeah, for sure, especially Love. I mean, there's times where he just kind of lets it, fling and
can't do that.
Yeah.
But they all do it.
Colts at Titans. Colts favored by 1. This is basically a pick 'em. Levis and Richardson are tied for the league lead with 6 picks. You're not sure. Flacco might play this game, and he's looked phenomenal. I mean, I can't believe the Browns didn't even offer him money to come back there.
The fountain of youth, he found it.
Yeah.
Flacco looked amazing.
He's unbelievable. And he's, 39, something like that?
He's up there,
and he just comes and does it with new teams.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, he led the Browns to the playoffs last year.
I mean, learning new offenses. I mean, they say it's not easy. Well, it must be easy.
And it's fun, too. It's fun seeing somebody that age just have so much success, I mean, you got to root for him, definitely.
But, this game, Indianapolis at Tennessee, this is kind of who's starting for Indianapolis?
The running back might not play. Their wide receivers going to IR.
That's a big part.
I think they have some issues on their line, too, their offensive line, if I read that correctly.
I'm going to take the Colts. I think they're the better team.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the Dolphins were the better team, too, and Tennessee whooped the shit out of them. So in Miami. So then they're at home. But I'm going to take the Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts, too, like I said. I just think, especially if Flacco plays, I think he is much better quarterback than Will Levis. Will Levis seems to make one dumb play a week, normally costs his team the game. Jason, what about you?
I'm going to go against that. I'm going to take the Titans this week, and the reasons I'm going to take them. First of all, they're coming off of a bye.
Mm-hmm.
They're well rested. The Colts defense is the worst in the league, and I know Will Levis isn't great. I get that, and it's a home game. Titans got a strong defense, very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Titans protect their home field and win that game.
And it's only a 1-point spread. So, nobody knows. I mean, Vegas always knows, and they're kind of struggling with this game, too.
They're not confident. I actually had the Colts up until about an hour ago, and then I just did a little more looking into it, and I'm going to take the Titans. I got a feeling.
Yep.
Up next, Texans at New England. New England, big news today. Drake May is going to be the starting quarterback this week.
They're terrible.
This is not good news for Drake May. It might be good. I mean, it probably is, but this is a tough week for him to get this start. I mean, Houston's defensive line. You remember what they did to the Bears? Remember they did to Caleb Williams, and they'll do the same thing to him.
This might be the worst game of the week.
This might
be the worst game of the week.
I think if the Patriots even keep this close, I'll be shocked. I have the Patriots losing this game to Houston. It's at Foxborough, so I mean, there is that. Patriots aren't good.
No, they're terrible.
They have a quarterback situation. They have a bad offense.
They should be 0-5.
And guess what? Guess who doesn't have a bad offense? Houston. They got one of the best offenses.
They're going to out. They're not going to be. I mean, New England couldn't even score on the Dolphins.
And Patriots not only rookie quarterback, they have a terrible offensive line as well. So and they're going up against a great defensive line. So this game could get ugly. I mean.
Yeah, this is Houston all the way. I mean, we could make an argument that Houston at 4-1 is one of the best teams in the league, right? Aren't they 4-1?
Yeah, and I mean the spread's only 7. I mean, I kind of thought it'd be higher than that.
I think Houston is way over that, and I mean they might be the best team in the league. They just find ways to win. Again, last week versus Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, Sean McDermott, that was the worst last 30 seconds of ever. Why? Like he threw the ball all 3 times, stopped the clock. Houston didn't have to call a timeout. So then they punt from the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So punt from the end zone, you get it at 50. You're basically in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
They had to get like 7 yards to kick a 15. Basically a 60-yard field goal for the win. Dude made it.
And these kickers these days, that's most of these kickers can kick them 55.
And
60.
it's in a dome.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that.
You sure that wasn't Eberflus that was coaching that game? It sounds like an Eberflus move, screwing up game situations. I don't understand how coaches do that. Honestly, I mean. with
You
all the
should have been-
coaches on the sideline, you got
Like,
those decisions have to be right.
They
You
had
gotta
the
get
ball
right.
at the 3-yard line with 29 seconds left. If I was the Bills coach at that point, I'm trying to play for overtime. They were throwing deep shots, trying to get pass interference calls. And if it works, great, but that's kind of risky to do, and it bit him in the ass. I think we're all taking Houston.
My dad just texted me and said everybody but the Packers kicker. He's not wrong. The Packers have
Well,
a terrible kicker the past few years.
Yeah, that's true. They missed Mason. Is he retired?
Yeah, he is. I'm going to take Houston in this game for all the reasons you just said. The Patriots are just terrible.
Bad.
But, the Texans are without their number one wide receiver, so we'll see how that kind of plays into not only this week but the next few. But I think it doesn't matter. I think they get this one done.
Yeah, I think this is I'd blow out of the week.
Bucks at Saints. The Bucks coming off a tough loss. They should have won last week on Thursday Night Football. Kind of that fumble there by Bucky Irving.
Yep.
And then they even got an interception, got the ball back, and still weren't able to get it done. But that was a hell of a game. And then the Saints come into this one. They've lost a few.
Now what's his name's out?
Yeah, Carr's not playing. Rattler's going to be playing his first NFL game ever. I'm going to take Tampa Bay in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tampa Bay as well. I don't think this is relatively close. I think Tampa's a better team. I think Tampa's a good football team. I think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. And I don't think they get enough credit in Tampa Bay for what they've done the last couple of years and get off to an okay start this year. And I think they do win this game. I think they win it pretty big, too. I think this game could get ugly because Tampa Bay can score.
Yeah, they got a pretty decent defense. I mean,
I think this game could get ugly.
And Tampa Bay is only favored by 3.5 points. You're going into New Orleans, so there's that. I agree. I'm taking Tampa in this one. I just think they're too good of a team. I think they're, again, better than their record. I think they've had some close losses, including last week. Boy, would Cleveland love to have Baker Mayfield back.
Yeah.
With the keys to the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, what a joke, but we'll talk about that later. But
yeah.
No, I definitely have Tampa taking beating the Saints. I agree with you. I'm surprised by the line a little bit. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, three is kind of crazy.
If I was betting this week, which I'm not, I would take Tampa.
I would take Houston and Tampa to cover, even on the road.
Brody Elias says, "Go Pack, go."
And with the new quarterback situation too. Now, the only thing we mentioned, we talked about this. We talked about this before. Tampa did have to vacate Florida because of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to New Orleans on Tuesday. So whether that messes up the routine,
hell, who knows if they even still got a stadium there next week.
It's a possible thing that just getting out of their regular
routine.
And
I mean, are their heads going to be right? Because a lot of their family probably went with them.
It's a variable that I haven't seen him mentioned much, but that's could weigh on him for sure.
Sure,
that's a good point, Jake.
So
that was my point.
I mean, but so we'll move on to.
We'll move on to Browns at the Eagles. Jason, like you were saying, the Browns would probably love to have even Joe Flacco back from last year.
Sure.
But I think they cut the cord on Baker a little bit too early. You pay all that money for Watson, it's guaranteed. Like he's getting that unless he gets convicted. I think of another.
They can only hope that happens.
What is going on in Cleveland?
Well, why you go back to when they picked up Deshaun Watson? Nobody else wanted him.
No,
and then they overpaid for him, and then they gave him a contract.
Fully guaranteed. Like
if you remember, Miami was a team that was going to go after him too for a while there, and I wasn't really on board with that. I wouldn't have minded it, but I was not on board with it all the way.
I think Miami's trading for Bryce Young.
I don't want him.
I know. I heard you say.
And I mean, I've seen some clips of like Cleveland talk shows.
Oh,
and a lot of those guys are just done watching the team. Like I watched, and I'm sure you guys might have seen this clip too, where it was 4th and goal, and they were going to go for it, and Watson just completely walks off the field.
But
walks off the field.
This team had expectations.
Yeah.
You have a quarterback that's making however much money he is, probably a top-paid quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They have good weapons, and they have Cleveland's a great place to play. I mean,
Myles Garrett's
that
one of the best
dog pound's
defensive
crazy.
players.
Oh, they have a great fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, they've dealt with a lot of crap over the years. I mean, it's probably the worst franchise that.
And the baggage, though, that must be weighing Deshaun Watson down because he was a good quarterback.
He was.
There was every reason to have him other than his baggage, which is what's caused.
I guess my point I was trying to make with Cleveland is it an organizational problem? Because Baker was bad there, and now Deshaun's there, and he's terrible. I mean, it's terrible.
Makes you wonder, yeah.
Baker,
what's going on? What's going on in Cleveland that they can't figure it out.
And Johnny Manziel wasn't Johnny. But he had his own problems. Yeah,
but as far as Baker goes, though, his last year there, he basically played with a torn shoulder the whole year. So I mean, I don't know. And Stefanski's a great coach. Like I said, I just think that the players and the fan base are done with Watson.
And
all the baggage and everything else. And then he honestly looked like he quit on the team last week.
We're talking about Cleveland, but the Philadelphia Eagles have kind of been dealing with some of their
own drama.
They're I mean, are they bad? They're not that good.
They're
this
not
year.
that great.
They easily could be. What's their record?
2-2. Favored by 8.5.
I mean,
though.
they could be 1-4. Correct?
Yeah.
If the Packers
They
don't
could
choke.
be. They could be.
I mean,
but I do think the Eagles.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think they're. I mean, listen, if they get this win, they're right there in the division. I mean, they'll be in first place. I think. They're also coming off a bye, so they're well rested and they're playing a lousy team.
Yeah.
This is a chance for them to start getting back
together.
on track because I feel like they're better than they played, but I mean, they keep playing bad, so it's hard to say that.
And it was even going to last year. This is an occurring problem from the end of last year.
They started out 10-0 last year.
10-0
and then they just shit the bed.
Shit, what'd they finish? 10-7 or 11-6?
And I mean, they got Tampa Bay beat them in the playoffs, right?
Could their coach be on the hot seat? Probably.
I think he's on the hot seat for sure.
You know what? He's one of my least favorite coaches in the league. He is a cocky.
You don't care for him.
But I'm taking Philly in this game. I don't like anything I see from Cleveland. I don't know. I would say, it could be. I think this is the week where Watson might get benched in the middle of the game.
They have to do something. They have to. They're going to have to eat that contract. It's not getting better. And they can only hope that he gets charged with another. They can only hope that they can void the contract. They're begging for it.
Yeah, because he's. I mean, it's.
I hate to say it that way, but I mean, this ain't going to get any better.
He's not been the answer so far.
No.
And we're all taking the Eagles, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In a blowout.
What did Joakim Noah said? You don't go to Cleveland for a vacation. Well, Deshaun Watson, I'm sure he'd like to leave.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that. That was hilarious.
Eagles definitely in that one. I think we're all taking that, right?
Yeah, Eagles.
Noah Maskell said bear down in the chat. We got a lot of Bears fans here, as you'd expect. But up this game, Commanders at Ravens. I mean, this is one of the most fun games of the week, I think. I can't wait to watch this game. Jaden Daniels isn't the front runner for MVP, which I think is bullshit. And the reason I say that is because they have Mahomes up there, and I get that they're 5-0. But who would have thought Washington's 4-1? And then you look at Mahomes' stats, and he's got 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and his completion percentage is only like 60%. So really, they haven't looked that great. And Daniels has looked like the best player in the NFL, really.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, it's the Kansas City Chiefs effect, is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go into that when we get to their game.
Well, if he keeps playing like he's playing, he will be definitely in that conversation. I think he's in the conversation
100%.
right now.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's always going to be Mahomes. And honestly, I know everybody hates Kansas City. Everybody hates Mahomes, but he deserves to be in that conversation. They just win.
They win.
Win. And
they put themselves in situations to win.
Last week they're playing that game. Who would they play?
Saints on Monday.
The Saints, and the Saints are driving. They score. And you're like, none of it's going to matter at the end.
They're going to score
None
right
of it's
back.
going to matter because, Mahomes is going to come down and definitely when he needs to score, he makes it, figures it out.
Yeah.
But I agree with you guys. We'll talk about that game. But
And I don't watch a Chiefs game, like you said. I don't ever watch a Chiefs game and think to myself, the Chiefs are going to lose. Like there's times where I watch teams and I go, these guys are going to blow it.
Right.
But the Chiefs never, every time they have the ball last, I think they're going to win the game.
They find a way to win.
I always say, in order for me, I have to see the Chiefs lose the first time before I'll pick them to lose. I will pick them to win every week until they lose.
They're hard to pick against.
They are. I mean, they're going for a 3.
Well, they have the best coach in the NFL, in my opinion. He's
an
older dude, but you know what? He's been good for a long time, and whatever he's doing is working.
When was the
I
last?
bet Philly would love to still have him.
And besides Mahomes and Kelsey and a couple pieces on their defense, they've had a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And they keep winning.
Yeah.
They always find a receiver that's going to figure it out. But this game, I mean,
back to this game.
That's what happens with the NFL. Like it somehow the Chiefs always get brought up and they're always talked about.
Well, they're the team of the NFL.
They're the team
right
to beat.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to say was Daniels is 5th right now in MVP odds.
Yeah.
And Lamar's right behind Mahomes.
Behind who?
Second.
Behind who?
Who's number 1?
So it was Mahomes. It was Lamar.
Okay.
And then
why is Lamar ahead of him? The Ravens are.
I'm just telling you what the odds were that I saw right now.
Well, I guess it's the odds.
Well, again, if he keeps playing like he's playing, Rookie of the Year, MVP candidate, depending on how their team does.
This could be a very high scoring, very fun game to watch.
Ravens favored 6.5.
See, it's just crazy. Like you think that we think this is going to be a good game, but then the spread thinks it's kind of not. I mean, I guess it's only a 1-score game, but
yeah, it's hard to believe that's the spread. Washington's defense is the worst in the NFL. Baltimore's pass defense is the worst in the NFL.
Yep.
And so
something's got to give.
Something's got to give, and I think you are going to see a shootout.
Yeah.
Now, I'm picking, if I may, I'm going to pick the Ravens in this game. It's in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I will also say Jaden Daniels has been great, without a doubt.
Yeah.
He's also a rookie. Let's
Right.
not forget.
Right.
He's played like a veteran, but there's going to be a hiccup at some point. I think this is the week that's going to.
There's probably going to be a lot of hiccups.
Yep. And I think this is the week that it happens, to be honest with you.
And if the hiccup might not happen, the Ravens just might beat them on outscore them because that's how good the Ravens are. I mean,
The Ravens are good. If they're smart, they will give the ball to Derrick Henry 20 times this game,
mhm.
try to control the clock
Mhm.
and the pace of the game, and keep Jaden Daniels off the field with a bad Washington defense. And there's a game plan and a way for them to win this game for
Yeah.
sure, and at home.
Mm-hmm.
Another experience. Baltimore is an experienced playoff. They know how to win. Harbaugh is one of the best
Great.
coaches in the league.
Absolutely.
I like Baltimore at home. I think Baltimore gets it done. It could be like a 50-yard Justin Tucker game-winning field goal. Like I feel like it could be whoever has the ball last wins the game.
Very much so.
I just get that feeling for this type of game.
I'm going to differ from the pack. I'm going to take Washington. I'm going to ride the wave. They've looked, very surprising. And every time I watch Daniels, he just looks so comfortable out there. Obviously, Lamar looks comfortable out there. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, some of the plays he made last week against the Bengals were insane. But I'm going to take Washington in this one. I think if they can, like you said, they got the worst passing defense. There's Mahomes right now on the screen as we're watching the playoffs.
Who is that guy next to him?
I'm not sure. But I'm going to take Washington in this one. I think it's going to be really close, as you said. I think it's important for them to – I think Daniels might have to throw 40 times this game for them to win.
But just remember that the Las Vegas Raiders won in and beat Baltimore in Baltimore.
And they're terrible.
And they're terrible.
But
So,
yeah.
and it was Minshew Mania, Gardner Minshew.
And now he's not playing anymore.
And now he's not playing. So weird things can happen. I mean,
oh yeah, obviously things. Yeah, we think we know it all today, but we're also a few days away from Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know shit. I'll be the first to admit that.
I will tell you this. This is the game of the week for sure.
Yeah,
and we already agree on that.
Yeah, we wish it was a primetime game and not at noon.
Yeah, no doubt.
I bet you they're kicking their feet, wishing that.
Yeah, because they can't start flexing games until later in the season. I can't remember which week. But
well, yeah, because they would have flexed the Dolphins Titans off of Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Well, who expected this to be a game of the week?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season,
Right.
Probably not.
I mean, come on.
Sure,
Commanders and the Ravens are always decent, but
yeah,
Commanders have been a nice surprise. I think there's going to be regression.
Yeah,
I feel that with Minnesota too.
They've been so good.
Yeah, they've been
4-1's a good start.
Fun fact about Minnesota, while you brought them up, they're the only team to ever start 5-0 and not make the playoffs. And they started 5-0 again this year. Yeah, they were the only team to do it.
And you guys probably knew this, but I just found out this week that Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's 27.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He seems like he's 35.
Yeah. Seems like he's
Talk about a career resurrection he's having right now.
Yeah, no doubt. You got to be happy for him, actually. He's a journeyman, more or less.
Yeah. How about Carolina had him and Baker a few years ago?
Yeah, right. And they both stunk.
Yeah. Chargers -3 at the Broncos. The Broncos 3-2 coming into this one.
Surprisingly,
they have a great defense.
Surprisingly, the Broncos have been one of the surprising teams of the league. So far.
Yeah. Great defense. The Chargers are pretty well all over the place. New head coach there in Harbaugh. He's always got the team ready to go if he's not, taking every advantage possible to win the game. But I got the Broncos in this one. They're at home. I like what I've seen. I think Bo Nix has made progress each week.
Well, and remember who's coaching that team?
Sean Payton.
He's
another
great
veteran
coach. I mean, he's been top 5, top 10 my whole life.
Yeah.
So
they paid a lot of money for him to come out of retirement, come coach there.
But this is going to be a good AFC South, right? AFC South.
Yeah, AFC South. Yeah. AFC West.
AFC West. That's right. AFC West matchup. It's going to be a good game, and it might be who's in.
It's our first place too, yeah.
No, Kansas City's in.
Kansas City's 5-0.
Okay, scratch that.
Scratch that. Nice try.
But wild card
implications.
Second. I mean, the Broncos could go to 4-2.
Yeah.
This is a huge game, and what would the Chargers be?
They'd be 3-2 if they win.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a big game, and I don't think
they're coming off a bye week.
We
2
got
and
the
2.
spread at 3, so it's gonna. The Chargers are favored by 3.
Yeah,
Ramon says
I
fins
don't
up, Jake.
the Broncos
What's
are
up, Ryan?
the Broncos are a dog at home.
That's I don't know if I agree with
And
that.
I told you guys before. Well, you're not Vegas,
It's true.
but I told you guys before we started. 10 out of the 14 home teams are underdogs.
Mhm.
That just seemed like a lot to me. That's
Well,
crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wouldn't want to say it's the first time it's happened, but I'm sure it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
I like Denver in this game.
Yeah.
I do. I just don't know if the Chargers have enough. And I get it. Herbert's great quarterback. Harbaugh, great coach. But I just like Denver. I like how they're trending. They're kind of a trendy pick this year, a trendy team. You didn't know really about them. And here they are at 3-2 with the chance to go to 4-2 at home. That's a very tough place to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
Mile
defense
High
is phenomenal.
Stadium.
Their defense is phenomenal. Jason, what about you? What do you think?
I'm taking the Chargers. Their defense is also phenomenal.
Mhm.
They're not scoring a lot.
That's my thing.
They're not scoring a lot, but I think their defense is better than the Broncos. And again, Harbaugh is an excellent coach. I just see the Chargers getting this game. They need to get on track for sure. They need to win. The Broncos need to win too. Everybody needs to win. But I also think that with Bo Nix, again, sort of the Jaden Daniels thing. He's been good, not great.
not
He's
great.
but he's doing fine. But there's going to be some regression. I think the defense gets to him this week and holds him down because they haven't scored a lot either. Denver hasn't.
No.
So I think this has the potential to be a 13-10 game.
2017.
I'm giving the edge to the Chargers. They're favored. That's not why, but I got a feeling the Chargers are going to take this one.
I just like Denver. Denver over the years at home has been a pretty good pick.
That's a tough place to play for sure.
Jared Taylor says, "Go Commanders." Yeah, surprising team this year.
Oh,
Sure,
they
Kurt
did.
Bowman's been pretty pleased with
Kurt
their
Bowman's
play.
got to be happy because we all know they ain't won a lot
Yeah, in his
in
life.
his life.
He's a Redskins fan.
Yeah. Pittsburgh at Vegas. Vegas starting a new quarterback this week, Aiden O'Connell. A lot of drama in Vegas. Devontae Adams supposedly hurt. I don't think he is. Obviously, everybody knows he wants out. He'll probably be a Jet in a few weeks. Not that, honestly, even if he was playing this year, I don't think they'd be much better because they're just not a complete football team.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh, they came off that, close loss there.
To Dallas.
Fields is at quarterback. If Fields loses this game, and I think Fields has made a lot of progress this year, but if he loses this game, do you think they start to shift maybe and let's say, hey, let's get Russell Wilson in there?
I mean, I don't know how healthy Russell Wilson is, but I think Justin Fields could be replaced in this game, possibly, if necessary. I don't think it will be necessary because I think the Steelers are going to beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders are reeling at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're starting O'Connell at the quarterback.
Yeah.
So they have to me they have a bunch of issues as well.
Mhm.
Fields is a good game manager. We've all seen that with Chicago. He's not generally going to wow you, but he hasn't made a lot of mistakes this year, which is good. So he might make it through this game, but I think they'll be looking for a reason. If they keep winning, they'll keep playing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with how this game is going to depend on if they make a move or if they stick with them, because you got to figure if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, who also have one of the best coaches of my lifetime.
Oh, unbelievable! Yeah,
But one
Tomlin's
of the
a
best
great
coaches.
coach.
They are always in the playoffs, and they don't always have great teams.
right.
Never been below 500 in his career.
No,
That's just crazy. 18 years, I think.
it's unbelievable,
And he's still young.
and they're not in a bad division.
No, they're in a
They
good
got the
division.
Ravens and recently
And,
the Bengals.
and last year, I think they were like 3 games below 500, but nope, they got right back to over
9 and
500.
8.
That's
Yeah,
why if
finished
you
right
can
there.
just go 500 in an NFL season, you have a chance later on because that wild card is always a team that's three.
Especially since they added one.
Yeah, but how the outcome of this game? If Pittsburgh, this is a game you got to win.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Oh,
better.
without a
You're
doubt.
better. Vegas is reeling. That place is going to be full of those ugly yellow
Terrible towels.
towels
Yeah.
that I hate seeing when they come play at your place. But I like Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh. I kind of think they win in a rout. I do.
Well, the Steelers need to score more.
Oh,
Their
yeah.
defense is really good, but that's not going to fly all season long.
Right.
You're not going to keep beating teams by 3 points.
Holding to Dallas to what is the final score 20-17?
Yeah, it's 27.
So that's pretty good.
And the
Most-
Steelers
I mean-
have a great defense. They typically always have a pretty good defense. And then with O'Connell going, who doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL, but he's played some games. Like you said, that's basically going to be a home game for Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I like Pittsburgh in this one.
I do too.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Lions, Cowboys. This could also be a Sunday night game, but instead it'll probably be the Fox game of the week for the afternoon game. Dallas coming off that close win, as we just talked about.
Huge win for the Cowboys.
Detroit coming off a bye, so they've had a lot of time to prepare for this game. But just a fun fact here: the Lions have not beaten the Cowboys since 2013.
That is interesting. I think it was a good win for. It was a huge win for Dallas, but I don't think it was a good win necessarily.
No, because I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys, in the expectations that you had, you needed to win that game.
You needed to win it, and Dallas, they tried to kind of give it away. It just didn't. Pittsburgh didn't take it, but it was definitely a wins a win in the NFL.
Sure, yeah, you take them when you can get them. But so Detroit at Dallas. I mean, you guys keep mentioning the bye weeks. Historically, when I've watched the Dolphins, they kind of struggle off of their bye week because it's almost 2 weeks, and it just seems like they get out of rhythm and everything. But I don't think that's the case with Detroit. Great team. I like their coach. Campbell,
great coach. Yeah.
Was the interim head coach for Miami back in 2015. Loved him, wanted him to be their next head coach. They fuck everything up, and they didn't pick him, obviously.
Well, they got a guy now.
Mike McDonald, yeah.
They got a guy.
Jake's a huge fan of his.
Mike McDonald.
What are those pants that he wears, the capris?
Yeah, they go down to like his. They don't even go all the way down there. Like they see his shoe and his skin, and I'm like, what are you? Don Shula's up there looking like, wow.
rolling over.
What are you wearing? But anyways, I like the Lions. Look, we said it before. Dallas at home has lost so many big games, and with the way they lose them, they get blown out.
Yeah.
Okay. How many times have the Packers done it?
Oh, well, they did it last year
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it just seems like every time Dallas has a home game, it's high scoring, and it's normally a blowout the wrong way for them.
Dallas' defense is not good.
Yeah, I'm taking Detroit.
That's it.
Detroit is,
Yeah, I'm taking Detroit too. I mean, offensively, you just take a look at it. They got 2 stud running backs. Dallas has Zeke Elliott out there, who you feel like has been in the NFL for 20 years now, but he's only 29.
Yeah.
I just think Detroit's got too many weapons to not win this game. I think, they can run the ball one play, action play, and Jameson Williams is going to be down the field wide open.
Yeah. Detroit, look, they were favorites to win the NFC North.
Yeah.
They were favorites to make the NFC. Well, one of the favorites to make the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I still think that all holds true.
Yeah.
Are they? What's their record?
3-2.
3-1.
3-1. So I mean,
3-1.
They've lost one game, and it was at home. Wasn't it a close game? I remember it. Or was it on the road? I mean, they're really close to being 4-0. Just picking up where they left off last year.
Yeah, I just think they're going to be too much for Dallas. I mean, the only way Dallas potentially has a chance in this game, I think, is if CeeDee Lamb has 200 yards receiving.
Which could happen.
Yeah, that could happen. But I got Detroit, Jason.
Well, you see what I put down there. I picked them both.
Yeah.
I wanted.
Jason's got a tie.
I wanted to pick Dallas here.
Yeah.
I wanted to think that they were going to turn the tide, and Dak was going to put it together and have a big game, like I said, 200 yards, Lamb, something like that. This Dowdle, their running back, looked pretty good last week out of the backfield and also receiving the ball. But I had to go back. Lions got too many weapons, I feel.
They do.
And
I think they're better coached.
Yeah, probably. So I'm taking the Lions. It was a last-minute change for me. That was going to be one of, but in Dallas again at home, he's favored to lose.
Yeah,
so.
He just said it. That's wild. But like I said, they don't show up at home in big games. I mean,
I'd be surprised if the Lions don't win this game. Now you bring up a good point about rust, and I know you don't think about that because teams get into a flow of doing the same thing week after week. Then finally they get a week off, and they're out of their rhythm.
Oh yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it seems like Dallas. I mean, everybody knows they're the talk of football every year. It doesn't matter.
Well,
they're always in big,
just like the Cubs, America's team.
Yeah,
they're the lovable losers.
My point was going to be this: everybody's got podcasts now, ourselves included. But I mean, Dallas's players go on and they talk. Micah Parsons talks about each game afterwards and kind of stirs the pot. And he needs to focus more on his play on the field because he wants to get that huge contract at the end of the year. Really, he ain't done nothing yet.
He's hurt, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty banged up. But I'm just saying, even last year towards the end, he wasn't doing. I mean, early on last year was dominating. But I won't keep rambling on. I'm going to take Detroit.
But I mean, this was a game that you talk about because it's one of the best games of the week.
Yeah, that should
So
be a
you
good
spend
game.
a lot of time
That
on
should
the
be a good game.
games.
Falcons at Carolina. I don't think we need to talk too much about this one. I mean, we can. The Falcons won last week in what was a phenomenal Thursday night football game. Kirk Cousins is the only quarterback ever to throw for 450-plus yards and 3+ touchdowns for 3 different teams. And he looked great last week. I got to give him credit. And they're playing against the Panthers. The Panthers are terrible. I just think the Falcons are going to come in and win this one, and hopefully Bijan Robinson can finally get the ball for my fantasy team.
If you had to pick a team, are they the biggest surprise this year?
No.
No, because they
for
were
me.
kind of building.
Washington, the biggest
Okay,
surprise,
Washington.
no doubt.
Yeah.
But Atlanta would be in that handful. I think that would be
Minnesota.
Well, I think the Falcons, the reason they went out and got Kirk Cousins because they felt like they had a lot of the pieces,
Yeah,
but not
sure.
the quarterback.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really surprise me. Kirk Cousins is a great NFL quarterback.
Oh yeah. And they're a good team, and they're one play away from beating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
One bad call
Yeah.
away from beating the
Yeah,
Chiefs. I mean,
blatant.
let's be honest, that's pass interference in the end zone.
Chiefs
This is a team to keep your eye on for sure. And I think Cousins, you can tell, is getting comfortable in that offense.
Mhm.
Didn't look that way the first couple of weeks, but it looked that way last week. So
Atlanta does a pretty cool thing when they score at home. I think they do that swag song.
Oh, the
Where
swag
they go
surfing,
like this,
and when they win,
and he did it with the whole crowd, and it was pretty cool. It's a great moment for them this year. I'm taking the Falcons. I think this is another blowout.
the Panthers are terrible.
Terrible.
You got the Falcons too, I assume.
I
Jason?
definitely had the Falcons in that one.
You know what? Well, before I forget, we're not going to get to talk about the Chiefs because they're on a bye.
Well, we just talked about them.
But we
they've gotten plenty of
But we
airtime
talked
tonight.
about them.
They're on a bye, yeah.
Bengals at Giants, your Sunday night football game. I mean, this is a game that obviously Cincinnati wins. I wish we had a better Sunday night game.
Well, not so fast.
Yeah.
I now here I am again defending the Giants like I've done for
You said you weren't going to do it.
all 3 years. For some reason it's the Giants that always get me. They've played better. Okay, that was a huge win in Seattle. Now they're coming home.
Mhm.
Cincinnati has played really good this year, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're 1-4, and you have not figured out how to win games with the quarterback who should be finding out how to win games, even at home. So I'm not counting the Giants out. I'm not picking the Giants. I'm just saying not so fast I mean, even 2 weeks ago when the Giants played Dallas in New York.
They were
Was
close.
it Sunday? Was it Monday night or what?
Thursday.
Oh, it was Thursday night. Another good game that they just couldn't win. But Bengals, man, they can score, and that would be an issue for the Giants if that starts to happen. So I'm taking Cincinnati, but I just not so fast on the blowout.
I mean, you see who I picked. Again, both teams.
Yeah.
I had the Giants in this one. I really had myself talked into that they were good. They're turning the corner offensively. They're at home. And then I changed my mind because I think Joe Burrow is statistically the best quarterback in football.
Mhm.
And they're 1-4.
It doesn't. It makes
sort of
zero
shocking.
sense. They are okay. If you had to pick a team that is bad record-wise and playing bad right now to turn it around and make the playoffs, it would be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%.
And history is not on their side
No.
because I think when you're 1-4, the chances of that happening are very slim.
Mhm.
Even slimmer if you go to 1-5. So,
But that would be the team I would pick to turn their season around.
absolutely.
Just because you look all over the field, they're like, how is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase 1-4? I mean, they're putting up historic numbers. How
Right.
many yards did he have last week?
Burrow?
Yeah, didn't
Burrow
he
had
go
over
like?
400 yards.
Yeah,
But he had, like,
450 yards.
But how many did Chase have?
A lot.
Chase had almost 200 yards receiving. I think it was like $190.
So that's
Wasn't he the one that had like 75 fantasy points or
He
something?
had a shit
a
ton of
bundle of
fantasy
them, yeah.
points. Yeah.
So this is this.
No, the Bengals defense isn't good. Obviously, they got to have weaknesses, but the Giants offense isn't that good.
Right.
But here's a little fun fact I found: Daniel Jones is 1-14 in primetime games. So
What
that says something.
Yeah, that I don't know what. Like, do you think he's the future for the Giants?
Well, if
No.
he plays like he did last week, because he played well.
But like you said, 1-14. I mean, that's a big sample
That's
size.
huge,
Okay,
yeah.
there's not
Yeah.
that many NFL games. It's not like baseball or any other sports. That would, if I was a general manager, that would be good enough to me. Like, I'm drafting the quarterback, bringing him in. If there's a free agent, like I'm getting more competition in what's it called before the season starts?
QB competition, the preseason.
Preseason, damn.
Well, they could have drafted a quarterback this year,
Sure.
right? They were right up near there, and they took Neighbors, who's been
Who
great.
has been phenomenal.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, but he's questionable.
But
this
I
week.
just don't know. Like, that's a question that they should be discussing. Is he our answer? Because if he's your answer, 1-14 in primetime games,
Well, they paid him.
they
So
paid him.
they made
so
their
he-
decision.
Well, right now, $40 million a year looks like a cheap contract.
or
for a
you've got to go
quarterback.
out and
That's
get that
true.
dude.
That's
You got to
true.
go out and get him weapons all over the field. Then
Yeah, I mean, again, I initially had the Giants here. I had myself talked into it, but then I thought better of it. The Bengals, I think, have too many weapons for
Yeah.
sure. I think their defense is not great, but I don't think they're going
and
to.
I looked at the Bengals schedule. That this was the game where if they get this game, look out because their next 3 or 4 are. I think they got Carolina in there. I think they've got a lot of easy wins. Like you're going to see the Bengals at 4-4,
Mhm.
and we're going to be sitting here week 10, and I'm going to be saying, this is the team I would not want to play
Yeah,
at all
yeah.
later in the season.
And if they do start winning, like you said, Burrow is statistically the best quarterback in football right now. And he keeps playing like this, he could hop up there in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Cincinnati in this one.
And I don't know that
Sure
the
most people
division is
figured.
out of question with the Steelers got 2 losses.
Yeah,
The Ravens have 2 losses and have
Yeah.
lost at home to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And who's the other team I'm forgetting? The
in
Browns.
that division, the Browns, which
So,
have no shot.
It's not out of
It's
question.
not,
no.
I
No,
mean-
you can't sleep on the Bengals right now.
Especially
Yeah.
with how you just that game versus Baltimore. That was a great game.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
that
it
they
was.
should have won.
Should have won.
They got that turnover at midfield. You're thinking, oh boy, they need 10 or 15 yards, and they only get like 8. Then they got to kick a.
Well, didn't they
long
run it 3
field
straight
goal.
times?
Yeah, they ran it 3 straight times.
I mean,
and I'm
and
like,
then-
what
yeah.
are you doing?
I mean, Burrow was cooking. I mean, at least let him throw it once out of your 3
Right.
plays.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, finally, we'll get into Monday Night Football.
last
The
game of
Bills at the Jets. How about the Jets this week? What a great week they've had. Their head coach got fired. He got escorted out of the facility. Nobody really knows what exactly
didn't
happened
even
there.
get to say bye.
No.
to
But I
anybody.
will say in 3+ seasons, he was 20-36 with no playoffs. I mean, I wouldn't say the talent has always been there. This is probably
Yeah.
the best team that he's had.
agree.
Did Rodgers get him fired, you think? He says he didn't.
He says he didn't. I don't know. I heard today from a coworker that the owner had a lot
Yeah.
of friends in London, and when they didn't win that game, it was
It-
was
too
kind of the
embarrassing.
last. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
well, and
Which really
let's
was
look
probably
here.
Rodgers' fault. With
The
3 picks.
beginning of the season, you have seen moments where Rodgers and what's his name? I can't say his name.
Garrett
the
Wilson.
coach,
Salah.
have not. When you see him communicate to each other,
interact. Yeah.
they want to say that it's not nothing, but okay, he's fired and it's week 6,
Uh-huh.
Right.
so something isn't clicking. And you have one of the probably one of the greatest quarterbacks,
hmm
maybe in the history of the NFL.
Yeah. Well, yes.
And you're not winning.
Yeah.
So that's what you were paid to do. You're like he said, 20-36. That's just not going to cut it.
I like that they fired him. I like the passion of that owner that goes, you know what? We went all in on this team. We got Rodgers. We went out and got Rodgers. We put some pieces. We do not want to give up on the season.
Yeah.
in week
Right.
6.
You just that he said it. There's still time for any team right now besides Carolina Panthers to turn their season around.
Because the clock on Aaron Rodgers is ticking. Let's
Right.
face it. I don't think he's done, but I don't think there's long shelf life there either. You know.
No, I
1
honestly
to 2
think
year
that
window.
could be his last year.
Very-
If he goes off on a sour note,
Yeah.
okay, if the Jets come back and win a playoff game and they get to the conference championship and they lose and it's like, damn, he can still do it.
He's had so many.
Maybe
of those
he
losses.
comes back. Maybe he comes back, but I don't think the Jets get that far. I don't think the Jets make the playoffs. I
No.
don't think the Jets win the division.
And I think
Um,
Aaron Rodgers goes out exactly like Brett Favre went out, not on top. And
Yeah.
like most great athletes, can't give up, can't quit. You
Yeah.
know, Michael Jordan going out with the Wizards.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it would be hard. It would be
Yeah.
hard to give it up. It would be hard to leave.
because you've been the best at your sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to imagine that you can't reach that point
Yeah.
again.
Right,
And say what you want, but I mean, even Brady's last year in Tampa Bay went 8-9.
right.
You know,
yeah,
what- I mean,
that's not good.
Staying
Yeah.
around just a little too long. He was very serviceable, very good
Yeah.
quarterback still, but
Right.
Yeah.
so many things have to go right, you know. And
Yeah, you can't keep taking those hits and getting back up.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, I didn't realize this. Tom Brady is 47. Come on.
Come on.
I thought maybe
That's
like
young.
I thought maybe like 41, 42.
You thought he was 41?
Yeah.
You thought he was still throwing touchdown passes at 45 years old.
I just didn't realize how old he was.
That's amazing that he was able to do it. He was still he retired as a very serviceable, very good
Oh,
quarterback
yeah.
still,
And a team would have signed him at 46 if he wanted to play.
Yeah, and let's face it, Rodgers doesn't have the weapons that he needs there either. I mean, they're talking about possibly getting Devontae Adams. I bet you will see that happen because now this owner's going all in.
Yeah.
He's firing his coach. Go get Adams. Let's see roll the dice. He's got all these guys got the dough.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a choice. Like
you don't
either
have a choice.
do that or you just you go 7-11.
But who else wants Adams? The Bills. They would he fit well with the Bills?
Speaking of Buffalo, I don't know about Buffalo. To be honest with you, they've lost 2 games in a row.
I think Josh Allen played last week's game with a concussion.
But here's the thing: they've lost. Well, and
that's what I think. I mean, if you watch that clip, I mean, he was fast out cold.
You're not saying much for the NFL.
And they
what would have happened if that was
Tua?
What it is. What would have happened if that was Tua?
You probably would have been escorted out.
They would not have let him come back in the game.
Well, did you see the clip? I mean, he was on the ground. I mean, he was out cold, and they brought him back in the next position.
Yeah. Speaking of Buffalo, they can't win on the road. Okay, they've lost. They got smoked in. Where'd they get killed at last week?
The Ravens.
Got killed in Baltimore. And Houston was beating them 20-0. Let alone.
Well, it wasn't the Ravens. The Ravens played Cincinnati, right?
You know, the Ravens. No, I'm saying the week before that, they beat them like 47.
So they've lost 2 road games in a row, and now they're on the road again. Mm-hmm. If they're going to be a playoff team, they've got to figure out how to win on the road.
Well, this is a game that they should win, especially after a coaching change.
Sure,
I mean,
they should win.
Coming back from London.
Like Stephen A. Smith says, that bad man is that quarterback. And if he has a decent game, I mean, look for the Jets to hang around. I really think so. But, I mean, I'm sure I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, I got the Bills.
I got the Bills, too. I think that there's just too much going on in New York. But also, like I said, if you're going to fire your coach, go all in, go out and get Devontae Adams and see what happens. And also, it's possible the Jets win at home.
Yeah, sure.
Because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and I'm taking the Bills. I can't believe they would still be that bad.
This is New York Jets fans got to look at. This is for first place.
Right.
Winners in first.
Yeah. This is wide open.
The Dolphins sitting at 2-3, looking like the worst team in the league, is 1 game out of first place.
Yeah.
With Tua coming back week 8. The season's not over.
So you said there's a chance for the Dolphins.
I mean, you know, I'm not a Dolphin lover on this podcast. I will ream them when it's deserved. But they found a way to win in New England. It was ugly, but they had to do it.
Yeah. Again, NFL, a win's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
they seem to all be tight games.
But yeah, if I could say a few things about the Dolphins, I do think that Tua comes back.
Had to get it in there.
Tua comes back week 8.
Yeah.
And I think the Dolphins season gets a little bit more on track. I don't know that they win the division.
You play us not too long after that, right? Around Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving. But
you're going to go to that, or are you still
I don't know.
chickening out?
I'm just telling you, I'm not spending money on them right now.
Oh, come on.
They're horrible. But, they play the Colts next week, sitting at 3. If you could be sitting at 3-3, coming into Miami playing the Arizona Cardinals week 8, that's a pretty good position that you want to be in when you've lost your quarterback. So
I mean, that was a big hit for Miami, obviously losing Tua. Now he is coming back. This is how many concussions now?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's just 4, which he's probably had 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I'm not saying.
And he's had some bad
ones. Yeah.
In national TV, and he's out there basically having a seizure. I feel bad for the guy.
I'm just saying, nobody felt bad for Brett Favre.
Yeah,
and the dude just kept going back out there.
Brett Favre was,
He said he had over 1,000.
Yeah.
Dan Marino once said in an interview that he probably had well north of 20 concussions, but you didn't know, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope for your sake, Miami gets it going, and because I know how passionate you are about it. We'll root for you, Jay.
I thought this was the year that they win the division, and it still might be. They still play the Bills. They still get their chance.
They got weapons too.
Yeah, they're not. I mean,
how's their defense?
Defense. This was the thing I was going to mention. Their defense has been very good. Okay, it's kept them in games.
They did play the Patriots.
Yeah, they've played a lot of bad teams. They've played the Titans, but their offense.
You're just mean, you know that.
I got to be honest with him. The same way he's honest with me about Green Bay. So
you know that 95% of the time I side with you on the Packers.
Yeah,
but
we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
We got to get a Bears win. We got to get a Green Bay win for Cole, In Miami,
Miami
they
can't
can't
lose.
lose this week, so it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna watch that Bears game? Get up early, or are you gonna sleep in?
I'll
I'll
watch
probably
it.
be watching it hungover.
I'll watch it. I get up about definitely be hungover. We got a wedding.
Yeah, I got a
Saturday.
wedding Saturday night, so I'll probably be hungover watching
Get
that
up about
game.
8:20 and roll out.
Yeah.
It'll be good. You know, I'm excited for the Bears because they definitely are making progress. I don't know if they're
100%.
gonna make the playoffs. Whatever. I just want to see them play competitively.
Mhm.
I want to see Caleb Williams getting better. I'll tell you what's interesting. I mean, it's looking like the Bears didn't make the right decision with that number 1 pick when you got Jaden Daniels right there in the next pick.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But right now, I think Jaden Daniels is doing all the things that people thought Caleb Williams were going to be, like the highly rated quarterback, MVP discussion, Rookie of the Year discussion, and it's just the opposite.
It's kind
But
of
it's still all possible though for him. I mean,
It
there's
is.
still 12 games left, and I mean, he could still. I mean, he could win this game. They could be 4-2, and then if he beats the Packers, my God, the Bears might as well have won the Super Bowl because I'll never hear the end. I mean, the last time
Sweep
the
the
Packers.
Sweep the Packers.
I don't
Where's the
remember the
first
last
game
time.
at?
I don't remember the last time that happened. But
Chicago.
It's in Chicago,
Yeah.
and then okay. So of course, the one to end the season is going to be in Green Bay.
But let me just say this though: the last time the Bears beat the Packers, I was a senior in high school. I was still in high school. It was pre-COVID.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then before that one, the Bears haven't beat the Packers in 2 decades much. They haven't.
Yeah.
But here's another interesting thing about that. So the Commanders go out and hire Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator.
Great.
The Bears considered it.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams had a relationship with him.
Yep. You
Yeah.
see
I
what's
don't know.
going on.
I don't know. I mean,
As Bears fans, you should
Coaching matters.
you
Coaching
you
matters.
should be able to breathe a breath of fresh air with the Bears. Since I've been around, besides the Super Bowl year, they struggle to score. Their defense is always keeping them in games. They get them turnovers, short fields. I feel the Bears can now get the ball at the 20 and go 80 yards and score.
looks like it.
In years past, it was like, man, can you get field goal range and get a field goal? Like
Yeah.
now, I feel like the Bears can hit you on a 60-yard slant,
Yeah.
60-yard deep ball, and it's like, whoa.
They need to keep getting better. You never know much about these offensive coordinators really when they hire them, but I mean, this guy, I don't know, seemed like a joke. Then of course no one talks about it the last 2 weeks because they won the game. So all of a sudden he's fine, but they're starting to run the ball, which every team has to do.
Yeah.
that. Especially
At
with a
some
rookie
point.
quarterback. Yeah. So
You got to
Question
keep it balanced.
for Jason, this is a hard one for you. Who has the brighter future in Chicago? The Bears or the Cubs?
ooh, that's a tough one for me. Well, I think both teams are trending in the right. Probably the Bears, honestly. Ryan Poles has done a great job in the last couple of years of building that back, and he inherited a mess.
Right.
The Cubs to me are they're sort of middling. I mean, Theo Epstein did the miracle. Judd Hoyer hasn't really done anything.
How good is their farm? How good is the system?
The farm system's good, but that has to pan out.
You either trade them for major league talent or you bring them up when you're not going to make the playoffs and let them play.
Yeah, I'm not against the Cubs. I love the Cubs, and I'm hoping next year they're going to be better. But they're not going to be a lot different.
Yeah,
they're not going to be a lot different than a team that won 83 games this year. So, how do you win more games?
You won 83. How do you win 6 or 7 more?
Well, how about get a closer?
Get a closer. How about get an impact bat?
Yeah. How about sign Juan Soto? We talked about that. Yeah. You know what? Just go out and do it. Cubs, Jed Hoyer, spend the money.
Do it. They got it.
I don't know where you put it.
They already charges $16 for a beer. I mean, fuck, make
There
it 20. I mean,
I don't care. I don't care how big Dodger Stadium is or the Cardinal fans. There isn't a stadium or a team that generates or brings in more revenue than the Chicago Cubs in all professional sports. If there is, you look it up and tell me, because the money that I did the math, the money that the Chicago Cubs bring in for an 82 and 82?
They get
81 home games.
81 home games. It's insanity. You wouldn't even believe it.
And they own the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It almost quadruples the lowest team in the MLB.
You can't even park on the street in Chicago anymore without a permit. You don't think the Ricketts are the reason for that?
So, like you said, spend the money. Sick of hearing the Cubs don't have it.
No, the Cubs have it. They just haven't been able to spend it. Again, Jed Hoyer, to me, hasn't done anything, without Theo Epstein. So
other people are going to say, well, they had the 8th highest payroll in baseball.
And I agree with that. I don't like but you got to spend the money the right way.
Intelligently.
You got to spend it the right way. The Cubs do spend money, and they have spent money. That hasn't been an issue, but they're limited. They're not allowed for some reason
to go over.
because
But the Dodgers, the Yankees,
I
why
know.
can't we do it like they do?
We can and we should.
Pay that fine that who
cares?
get fined. Oh, what
You're gonna lose a
draft.
some sort of junk draft pick. Who cares?
But the moment the
Do they have
Cubs
luxury
go
tax
out,
in baseball, or is it?
there is a luxury tax in baseball, and there should be because the rich should pay the poor.
but if the Cubs could go out and sign Juan Soto this year, it would be a monumental, just Chicago thing and hope in general, because no Chicago team really
has ever done that.
any sport go out and do that. The Cubs probably with Lester, Fonzo Soriano, who else? Cody Bellinger. I mean,
Let me say this. I thought it was pretty cool when I was 15 years old and the Bulls signed Dwayne Wade and Rondo.
Yeah.
I thought that was
I
gonna be a
hated
big
that.
thing.
I hated that.
You
Dwayne Wade
know
was
what?
41 years old.
that was good
I
enough
thought
to
that
get
was
the
gonna be-
Chicago Bulls an 8 seed and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Hey, speaking of that, not to prolong things, but look at the Bulls getting a big preseason win last night.
I had no idea.
If Christian Miller's still in this chat, he is somewhat high on the Bulls.
The future is here, baby.
I like the guy they drafted. He looks like he could start game 1 of the regular season and impact it. You've got Levine, you got Lonzo
What do you
Ball,
think
you
of
got
Josh
Nikola
Giddey?
Vucevic, you got Giddey. The Bulls are making the playoffs.
Honestly, up until the thing
Write
with
it
Giddey
down.
last year,
They're
the
making
thing
the
with Giddey
playoffs.
last year, with whatever he had going on there with the 17-year-old in Oklahoma or whatever. I mean, honestly, before that, I mean, he was
a
a
baller.
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
NBA player.
It was a good acquisition by taking a flyer on a guy who's got an upside and is just
Young.
kind of fell out of favor there.
Lonzo Ball's
for the-
going to play this year.
For the first time,
I don't know how
I
long,
could
but-
say I think the Bulls have talent up and down the roster. They're young, they're old, and I wouldn't say they're like playoff experienced, but their experience of going through, Vucevic has been there forever. Levine's been in Chicago longer than you think. I think he came in 17. It's
Oh, he's been there.
unbelievable
He's been there a while.
how long he's been there. The Bulls should be a sleeper team to come out of the East. I don't mean to win the East, but to be in the 4, 5, 6 seed.
I don't mean to burst
Not be a play.
I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I will say that the Bulls do not want to lose that protected draft choice next year.
True.
They're going to trade Zach LaVine. They're going to do everything they can to be as bad as they can, and they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in.
So you don't think they're 500 to make the play in
I
they've
think
done the
they're
last 4
bottom
years?
3 in the NBA by the end of the season.
Hopefully
bottom 1.
Let me say this though, like what you just said about Levine, you're not going to win an NBA championship with Levine. So you trade him, you trade him. Oh well,
But
the guy can't play defense.
again, this is the Chicago Bulls. They shouldn't be trying to be mediocre every year.
Well, it's all about who the owners are.
Yeah, it's
really.
all the owner. You talk about the White Sox, Reinsdorf. Got to get him out.
Yeah, it's always the issue. Reinsdorf got lucky and fell backwards into Michael Jordan and Derrick Rose.
Still living off that?
And Derrick Rose, by
I
the
still
way.
think he's living off the
Remember
90s Bulls.
the lottery pick
Oh,
to get
yeah.
Derrick Rose? And I mean, shout out to him too. What a great career and all the great things
What
he done.
ifs.
He's just hung it up this recently here. But Derrick Rose had a lot of good memories of him.
Mason Benning, go to bed. You got work tomorrow.
He don't care.
The
Bulls suck.
Yeah,
You are
he's
right,
right.
Mason.
He's right.
Well,
You
you
are
heard
right.
it here first. They're making the playoffs.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
We want to.
I hope
ahead.
so.
Unless you guys got anything else to add, Jason, I'll let you say something if you want.
No, I just appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, man.
Yeah, we
guys
thank
do
you
it
for
for
coming
fun.
on. We
It was great to
appreciate
have
it.
you.
Awesome.
We've been
Fun.
talking about it
Yeah.
forever.
I'm so happy to be in the home here. I mean, this is unbelievable. We'll have to see what's in the cooler or the refrigerator.
We're gonna do. I want to do with Jason and Cole. I want to do. If it's not next year, like maybe before the Cubs season, a Cubs season, because as much as I know about the Cubs, he might know more. And I'd love to go back and
long suffering fan.
I'd love to go back and forth with him about the Cubs and the season, and we could even do a recap of the whatever. I just feel that would be a good video because a lot of our followers are Cub fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
you
right.
could get a lot of views.
Yeah, and we thank everybody for coming on tonight. Seems like we had a pretty good turnout, and we're going to keep doing the thing where we bring a guest on each week. I think it's fun. I think it brings more people to the show, and we enjoy it. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great week.
Awesome. Thanks.